Could a slave beat the whole Roman Empire army? In 73 BC, Spartacus, a gladiator, broke out of gladiator school alongside 70 other people. 2 years later, he had 120,000 soldiers and posed a big threat to Rome. But how could a slave scare the strongest kingdom in the world? The city of Capua, in 73 BC, it was just another day at Lentulus Batiatus Academy for gladiators. Trainer Marcellus was yelling at the slave gladiators to get them ready for fight. But this morning was different. There was a plan to fight back. Spartacus said to his friend Crixus, "We're getting away today. I won't wear these chains forever." Spartacus was not just any gladiator. He was a soldier from Thrace who had fought against the Roman legions, lost, and then been sold into slavery. But he was different from the other gladiators. Since he knew a lot about the military, Crixus asked, "Have you lost your mind? We are not soldiers, we are gladiators. What can we do to fight the Roman army?" Spartacus said, "I will teach you how to be soldiers. Freedom is only for those who are brave enough to take it." The strategy was put into action that morning. 70 gladiators used blades they had stolen from the kitchen to get past the guards. They took over the armory and opened the gates. "We are free," Spartacus yelled. But this is just the start. The gladiators who got away hid out at Mount Vesuvius. Rome had a hard time getting to this spot, but Spartacus didn't only want to hide. He wanted to assemble an army. Within the first few days, escaped slaves from farms, mines, and homes joined them. Everyone wanted to be free. A week later, there were 500 of them. One of the new people said, "Spartacus, the Roman army is on its way. What are we going to do?" Spartacus laughed and said, "We'll teach them how to fight." Rome didn't think this insurrection was a big deal. To put down Spartacus, Praetor Claudius Glaber brought a small army of 3,000 men. They surrounded Vesuvius and waited for the slaves to give up because they were starving. "They're stuck on top of the mountain," Glaber added. "They will come down and give up in a few days." But Spartacus had come up with an unexpected plan. He made ropes out of vine branches and climbed down the other side of the mountain at night. He assaulted Glaber's camp from behind. "Charge!" Spartacus yelled. The Roman soldiers were shocked. The fact that the slaves understood how to fight like that was surprising. Glaber lost, and his troops ran away. He told Rome, "Spartacus has beaten us. Not your average slave revolt." This win made Spartacus even more famous. Now, slaves from all across Rome were coming to him. There were more than 10,000 of them. Spartacus declared at a meeting, "We are not a gang anymore. We are a group of soldiers, and every army needs to be disciplined." Spartacus started to get the slaves in order. He taught them how to be disciplined in the military. Tactics and discipline in battle-making and fixing weapons, talk and work together, logistics and supply. Most importantly, he told them why they were fighting, for freedom. Rome dispatched stronger troops in 72 BC. Lucius, Gellius, and Gnaeus, Lentulus, both consuls, came with armies of 8,000 soldiers. They surrounded Spartacus from the north and south. Gellius replied, "This time, he can't get away. He's stuck between two fires." But Spartacus beat the Roman armies that were split up one by one. He beat Gellius first, and then he went after Lentulus. The troops of both consuls were beaten. Spartacus has beaten both consuls. People in Rome were scared by this news. This was no longer merely a slave uprising. It was a fight for Rome's survival. Spartacus' army grew to 70,000 troops after this battle. They weren't only slaves. They were also poor farmers, people in debt, and unhappy citizens. People on the streets of Rome said, "This is a revolution. Spartacus wants to bring down the Roman system." Spartacus had a pretty smart plan. He didn't attack Roman cities. Instead, he freed farms and communities in the country. This hurt the Roman economy a lot. The proprietors of the farms said, "Our slaves are running away. The economy is falling apart, and farming has stopped." Spartacus was also using mind games against his enemies. Instead of executing the Roman troops he seized, he freed them. He was saying, "We are not barbarians." Spartacus had to make a crucial choice at the end of 72 BC. Should he attack Rome or run away from Italy? Crixus said, "Let's attack Rome. Let's beat them once and for all." Spartacus answered, "No. We want freedom, not revenge. Let's go back home after crossing the Alps." This choice led to disagreements among the rebels. Crixus and 30,000 people fled and walked to Rome. Spartacus, on the other hand, moved north towards the Alps. Crixus' choice turned out to be a disaster. Arrius, the consul, caught him and killed him. There were 30,000 dead insurgents. Spartacus was quite upset to hear that Crixus is dead, but it also made him even more determined. Rome now knew how bad the situation was. The Senate chose Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of its best generals. Crassus came with 8 legions, which made up a huge army of 40,000 troops. "I will finish this," Crassus responded. "Spartacus's story will end." Crassus had a different plan. He didn't fight Spartacus directly. Instead, he drove him south. His goal was to trap him between land and water at the verge of Italy. This plan worked. They drove Spartacus all the way to the city of Rhegium. There was nowhere else to run. Spartacus told his slave leaders, "There are ships at sea. We'll go across to Sicily and then to Africa." The Cilician pirates and Spartacus came to an agreement. In exchange for 2,000 gold pieces, they would take the slaves to Sicily. But the pirates ran away after they got the money. "We have been tricked," Spartacus said. "We have to fight." Crassus kept Spartacus under siege all winter. The last fight started in the spring of 71 BC. Crassus fought Spartacus. This was the biggest slave battle ever in the ancient world. "Today, we will live free or die free," Spartacus stated before the combat. The fight went on for 6 hours. The Roman legions were clearly better than Spartacus's army, even if they battled fiercely. In the end, the army of slaves fell apart. Spartacus battled until the very end. Even though he had a hurt leg, he struggled to stay on his feet. But Roman spears finally brought him down. Spartacus is dead. The Roman soldiers was happy to hear this news. At the end of the fight, they took 6,000 slaves alive. As punishment, Crassus had them nailed on crosses along the Via Appia road. 200 km of Crassus, a terrible sight, Crassus remarked. "Let this be a lesson for future uprisings." The Spartacus rebellion was over, but his memory would live on. Rome was greatly shaken by this uprising. It proved that the system of slavery couldn't last. A slave could beat the Roman troops if they had the appropriate captain. Rome changed its regulations about slaves after the uprising. It started to treat slaves better and made gladiator schools safer. But most importantly, Spartacus' story became a symbol of freedom. People who had been tortured throughout history were inspired by his name. Spartacus became an icon of revolutionary movements in the modern world. Karl Marx named him the greatest hero of the ancient working class. He was a big part of the anti-slavery efforts in the U.S. What made Spartacus so successful? 1. Military genius. He was a former soldier, which gave him an edge in battle. 2. Leadership. He brought people from different backgrounds together. 3. Strategy. He fought Rome with money instead of weapons. 4. Psychology. He gave slaves the hope of freedom. 5. Organization. He turned gangs of slaves that were spread out into a disciplined army. But why did he lose? 1. Numerical disadvantage. Rome had a limitless number of soldiers too. Internal conflict. His break with Crixus fractured his troops. 3. Logistics. Not enough resources for a long conflict. 4. Defection. The Cilician pirates' defection was very important. 5. Geography. He was stuck on the Italian peninsula. Spartacus' narrative teaches us a lot of crucial things. Leadership. A good leader may turn a bad situation into a good one. Unity. Groups that are different can come together for a similar goal. Justice. It's worth taking any danger to protect human dignity. Strategy. You need to utilize asymmetric warfare against big nations. Rome killed Spartacus, but it couldn't kill what he thought. His fight for freedom has inspired people who have been wronged throughout history. The spirit of Spartacus continues on today. People who stand up for what's right and fight against unfairness are doing what Spartacus did. What choices would you make differently if you were Spartacus? Would you fight Rome or try to get away?